Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zachariah Van Sliders with Old Man Gaming, and with me, as always, is
Logan, aka Knight645.
And this is a horrible podcast, episode 12. We've done 12 of these damn things. So, let's go right into the disclaimers and the credits. Disclaimer, neither me nor Logan get money for this. So, we're not going to go back and edit it. You might hear, my raspy, terrible, sick voice as you're listening right now. You might hear a cough.
Pretty raspy.
We can't edit that out because we don't get money for this. And then, of course, I want to go into the credits real quick just so that I remember. The opening graphic for the show was done by friend of the show, Mark Bell. And also, the song that you just listened to play us in was done by none other than my brother, Nick Van Sliders. All right, this week our fans were busy, or, they had lives outside this podcast and didn't get to actually respond to our fan traction question, which, hey, no problem, guys. But the fan traction question was, what is the most toxic thing, in your opinion, in gaming? And maybe they just didn't want to go negative, and I get that. What do you think? What is it for you there, Logan? We can just answer this question.
The most toxic thing in gaming to me is just taking a game too seriously. Because I feel like it matters on a certain person. Because me and you talked about this the other day while we were playing.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like we really raged that much.
You're talking about that dude that was freaking out, right?
Yeah.
In World War Z.
Yeah. And you can, I might have, my little moments where I'll be like, wow, I'm really upset. But then, 20 seconds later, I'm like, why? And then I kind of move on with life.
Right.
And there's just some people that get so upset about it, and it's just because they're taking it way too seriously.
I completely second you. I actually, I have a weird love-hate relationship with For Honor, and every time I walk away from it for a period of time, it's because of toxicity in gaming. Just people get so worked up, and I don't get it. You play a match for what? Tops 30 minutes, right? Okay, so somebody did something you didn't like. You're going to move on to another match, and with the number of players out there, you're probably never going to meet up with that guy again. So just move on to the next one. Why? What blows my mind is the people who have enough rage to keep it going long enough to go into the horrible messaging system for Xbox and slowly select each fucking letter to be like, fuck you, spammer. Dude, how, even if I was raged enough to get the message open, I would get halfway through the first word and be like, you know what? I'm just gonna play another game. This is not worth my time.
I've been doing this thing where, if I rage and I feel like texting somebody, I'll text them this beautiful message, because as I'm typing it, I'll be like, have a nice day. Why don't you teach me some of those moves? You're really good at this. And then I'll be like, well, I'm not that bad anymore. How can you be mad after doing that?
When I went back to For Honor, I was like, because I got tons of shitty messages from people, and I was like, this time around, if I get a shitty message, I'm just gonna block people. But to counteract it, anytime I meet somebody who I think is good, I'm gonna send them a message and just be like, hey, you're really good.
Yeah, exactly.
Do some love spam for once.
If you love spam, it fixes everything, I'm telling you.
All right. So for me, what the most toxic thing in gaming is, I get what you're saying on the player thing. I totally agree. And I also think there are a good amount of toxic things out there. I don't think I would agree with a lot of people's answers, but most toxic thing to me in gaming is Google Stadia. And not necessarily Google Stadia as a system, but the idea of Project xCloud and Google Stadia and all these systems that want you to pay full price for a game that you don't own, that you're not even paying full price for the game. You're paying for a license to play it on their server. You have so little equity in that game. You actually don't have any equity in that game. You're literally giving them $60 for permission to play the game for permission to play your game, basically. Whereas you could go out and buy a physical copy, play it, or even a digital copy downloads to your hard drive. Like, these streaming services, everybody's so excited about them. They are bad news. I cannot say that enough. It is taking rights and ability and out of the player's hands. And that's my most toxic thing.
Oh, okay, I just have to add one more thing to the toxic part.
Yeah, go for it.
Season 2 and 3 of Fortnite, me. Most toxic thing ever. Because, and it wasn't even that, like, I was, like, bad or, like, I got mad a lot. It was, if there was, like, a way to win without having any skill whatsoever, I would do that almost every time. And back then, there was no, like, cap on explosives, so you could run like 5 RPGs and there was no ammo count. So if you killed like 5 people and you had like 20 rockets, you could fire so many rockets in a row and have no skill whatsoever and just do that, and people would get so mad about it.
Okay. All right. I think I might disagree with you on this. I don't think that's toxic. I don't know if I've said this on the show before, but I don't think it's toxic for somebody to exploit a game in a way that is meant to be exploited. I get those people on For Honor all the time when you get a player who gets, like, they pick the fastest character, like the Orochi or the I can't remember what the Ronin's called, but that one. And they do what's called light spam, which is basically they hit the same attack over and over again because it's super fast. So people have a hard time blocking, have a hard time parrying it. The designers made the game, man. I don't think that's toxic. I don't think it's toxic. Why wouldn't you play to win?
No, I hear it.
I mean, if you disagree, I'm totally down with that. Do you like? I mean, we don't have anything else to do with this segment, so
I don't feel like other people are toxic when they do it back to me.
Right.
But I just feel gross doing it to somebody else. I feel dirty.
Okay, that's fair. It's true. I never light spam because it's like, okay, that was not.
I feel bad for the person I'm doing this to.
Somebody's very mad on the other end.
I'm having a blast, but this guy is probably not so much.
I'm having a real good time. This guy is never going to play this game again. Excuse me. That cough is a good segue to, I did get a comment on a review. Anybody who watched my review this week on Greedfall, also got to listen to me muddle through a review in this voice. And then Thor Zednik, friend of the show, said, so yeah, that episode of The Friends where Phoebe gets sick, but also gets a very sexy voice for her singing. Yep. I don't think this sounds sexy at all, but thanks.
I'd have to disagree.
I do not think this sounds sexy. I mean, I appreciate that. I really do. But I don't think anybody's like, hot gravel falling down on a roof. That's what it sounds like. It's what I want to listen to all day long. But anybody who has known me for a long period of time, Logan has not long known me for a super long period of time, though we are best of friends.
Well, it's been close to a year.
It has been close to a year, but I mean like an extreme, like 5 plus years. Here's what happens. Once every 3 to 4 years, I get really sick for about 4 or 5 days, and then I get better. but I never get my voice back for like 3 or 4 months. So anybody listening to Old Man Gaming, I think this is a bad year. And of course, it would be a year that I start my YouTube channel. So you guys might be listening to this crap ass voice for quite some time. And I feel bad for anybody like jumping on at this point who in like 3 weeks are going to be like, what happened to the dude who sounded like Tom Waits? Okay. All right. So I think that
you sound like a nursing home.
It really sounds like Old Man Gaming now. Like, I see people recommend, like, dude, you've got to see this. The dude is dying, and he is doing fucking podcasts. It's great. This podcast could end at any time because he could finally die of the obvious throat cancer that is eating away at him. All right, so now anybody who has been listening to the show know that we're not huge Fortnite players. However, we recognize that Fortnite is a very big game in gaming, and we know that something is going on there. Now, I don't know what the hell's going on. Logan, you usually do. So what is going on with Fortnite? Did it end?
So Fortnite had its Season 11 huge update. And during that update, during the downtime, instead of being like a normal game, being like, hey, our servers are going to be down, no, they gave us a black hole at the end of a cutscene. And it just said, this is the end. So everyone thought, like, holy crap, this is going to be over. And I got to give it to him. Zach. That was the best publicity stunt ever.
Yeah, it got everybody on board there, man.
Every single person that is into video games knows that something is happening now.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know exactly what it is, you know that something is happening in that area. And that's crazy. So, it is not over. Season 11 just started yesterday. But just that whole fake out was amazing for just getting their gaming back on track. Since it was falling off a little bit with Season 9 and 10, their player base was falling off. And then they jump into Season 11 with this huge update. Oh, yeah.
Well,
it was just fantastic.
What I really like the sounds of that I heard was that they're going to do better matchmaking, so that you're not getting into battle royales with like pros, and the pros are getting into battle royales with other pros. And I've been saying, I think I've said on the show a couple of times that I think the biggest problem with battle royales is you have the players who get really good, and it ends up forcing out the casual players because they're just basically meat.
No, and that's like, I know that you haven't played too much of Fortnite,
right?
But that is the biggest thing with Fortnite, because with PUBG, it doesn't matter how bad you are. You could kill a player like me. If you get good positioning, you're behind me, I'm aiming at somebody else, you could kill me. In Fortnite, though, that's not the case.
Right.
If you shoot, I build immediately, you're dead 9 out of 10 times. The better player will win. So, just like you said, the casuals are getting pushed out. That stands completely true to that game.
Right.
So, with their whole skill-based matchmaking in Season 11, that it looks like it's going to be better, and it looks good. It has a lot of good feedback right now. It hasn't had too many bugs. They've added good things into the game. All around, pretty great update. And hey, shout out to Epic for really sticking through it.
Did they get rid of that dumbass mech?
Yep. Yep.
For like 2 weeks, every story on IGN, like every other story was like, this mech is stupid, you know?
Oh, no, it was the dumbest thing. Okay, because the funniest thing about that was since season, like, 6 or 7, season 7, they added planes, and planes were terrible. They were overpowered, they ruined the game for about 3 weeks, and then they took them out. Well, me and a couple of my buddies always made the joke, we're like, wow, what if they had tanks? or what if they had, like, Transformers? They actually did it.
Somebody at Epic was listening to, like, was drunk and reading Reddit, I'm like, I'm gonna put a friggin' mech in this sucker.
They're like, we're way ahead of you.
Oh, dude, I can sound so much more drunk with this voice. I'm
Yeah, you can.
gonna put a mech in this son of a bitch.
Yeah, so the whole mech thing, like, and when it got added, it was a whole meme, just like the planes were, but everybody was like, okay, they'll fix it, and then we're like, no, we're not gonna fix it, we're gonna nerf it, but it's still gonna be in the game for the entire season. That's 3 months that this thing was still in the game, and they nerfed it, I think, like 10 times. Every single update that came out, they nerfed it more and more and more.
That's awesome. Just get rid of it at that point. Like, if you have to nerf it more than, like, 3 times, it's done, you know?
Mm-hmm. Fully agree.
You know, I did want to just read something that got posted. This is a story on IGN, but it was from Twitter. Did you see the Lady Gaga stuff?
I did not.
Okay, so Lady Gaga decided to be funny and just posted to Twitter, "What's Fortnite?" What's even worse is she didn't put Fortnite like the correct spelling of the game. She put it as the correct spelling of the word. So just like 4 or 5 people straight up said, it's 2 weeks. And then, but I just wanted to share 2 of the responses to it that made me giggle. One of them was the length of my longest relationship. And then another one, this is the one that made me laugh out loud. Florida with health bars. Okay, I had to share that. I don't know why I had to share that on the podcast, but it's on IGN, and Twitter also did it.
That's perfect. So, Zach, as a younger man in the gaming society, I hate the word video games. I'm sorry, it's the most cringy thing ever when adults come up to me and they're like, so you play video games?
Oh.
And I'm like, just say Xbox. Just say Xbox. Like, you know what it is.
Okay, all right, that's a fair
or just say,
you
just
still
say
need
games.
a universal term for them, though. You can't just say play Xbox, because some people play PlayStation and some people play PC.
I don't even care. Just say games then. So you play games. See, even
yeah,
that's
but if somebody says
cringe.
you play games, I'm sorry, I got to defend the old people here. If somebody says you play games, then it's what, Monopoly? You play?
No. Okay,
Dungeons and
who's playing
Dragons?
Monopoly nowadays on like a grind? You think I'm sitting there playing Monopoly for 5 hours a day? I'm not playing no Monopoly.
All right, youngin. You wanna point out the broken system? Point out the fix. How do you fix it?
Either just say games or just name Xbox, PC, PS4, 5. It doesn't matter if you get it wrong. I'm not going to correct you because I don't care that much.
I'm going to correct you. I don't care if you're 97. You come up to me and you're like, so you play the Nintendo? No, I do not play the Nintendo. I play Xbox, bitch.
Zach's about to roundhouse kick some guy for thinking that he plays Nintendo Switch.
Let's throw around. Xbox, bro. Xbox. Bro out. Okay, all right. I could see, like, gamer. Like, I would prefer somebody, instead of somebody saying, oh, so you play the video games, I would rather somebody be like, so you're a gamer, you know?
Exactly.
I would prefer that. That
just
would be
anything else besides video games? No,
video
lady.
games is rough. You know what's crazy is, like, you bring that up, and I was literally in my car the other day going, like, thinking to myself, we don't play these on videos. Like, Jesus Christ, like, video hasn't been around in forever, man. I got a box of VHSs in the basement.
Oh, exactly. It just irritates me. I had like a family gathering a couple weeks back, and I got like 3 people to say video games, and it just it's a pet peeve of mine. I can't handle it. I'm just.
That's fair. I don't even think that they were ever strictly video. Like, I don't know the technology on it, but like, I don't remember them ever being like I think there was one system that was some weird VHS thing, but like, for the most part, I'm pretty sure they've all been just digital. Like, they've all been their
Actually,
own
though,
thing.
let's just call it digital games.
Right.
What kind of video games do you play?
Kind of video
None,
games.
none, none that I want to talk to you
I don't
about.
play
I'm
fucking
walking
video
away.
games. Yep. I play immersive, open world games. That's what I play.
Get all aggressive with it.
I play digital simulations.
I play man games. That's what I play. Leave me alone.
Play man games. I play woman games too. Don't matter. My games are woke. My games are woke. My characters can be gay or straight. What up? You just had Mario mansplaining stuff to Peach.
So, Zach, I've heard that there's a couple messed up things with Blizzard that have been going down. Some little bit of naughty stuff going down there.
Yeah.
And I've heard a little bit about what has been going on, but I've heard that you've been vigilantly watching it, like you've been standing next to the bat signal. So, do tell.
The bat signal. If it was my bat signal, would just be like a light, and it would be like the silhouette of a dude on a cane, like holding his back. Okay, so Boycott Blizzard. I have been following the story. Most of my information comes from IGN, so I will say that right off the bat. Credit where credit is due. I followed it because while I don't play Overwatch or World of Warcraft, I do love digital card games, like mobile digital card games in one of my vice. And Hearthstone has been one that I have played off and on quite a bit over the few years. And this actual story comes from Hearthstone. They have what's called a Grandmasters, which Grandmasters basically you sign a contract with the company, you get into all these big Grandmaster tournaments, and you can win serious prize money playing these tournaments, doing it professionally, okay? But they do have to sign this contract with Blizzard, the company. Now, what happened is after a Grandmaster tournament, this player named Blitzchung won. He had $10,000 coming to him for winning. They went to interview him on the stream, and just to get a little political, what's going on, sidebar, Hong Kong is kind of fighting for kind of this weird independence thing with China. To summarize that, Hong Kong is not part of China. It's its own thing. However, Hong Kong is trying to pass legislation that would allow China to extradite people from Hong Kong to China, meaning that people who are in Hong Kong speaking out against China would be able to be transported into the Chinese system, which is bad, obviously.
Yes.
So there's a huge political movement going on in Hong Kong about that. Blitzchung came out in support of that. He came out in a mask that supported the colors of this protest and said right off the bat, liberate Hong Kong. When this happened, Blizzard cut the feed and didn't come back for like 15 minutes. And then when they did, Blitzchung wasn't there anymore. So we find out the next day that Blitzchung has been suspended for 12 months and that they took all of his prize money away for this. Their reasoning is that he violated this specific rule in the contract. Now, I don't have the rule in front of me, unfortunately. But basically what the rule is you, as a person, are a representative of Blizzard, and you are not allowed to belittle peoples or any sort of group of people on air. You can't say anything derogatory or negative, and Blizzard gets to decide what's derogatory and negative. That's what the phrasing of it says, okay? Mm-hmm. It's very clearly, in my opinion, when you're reading it, it's very clearly meant to be like, don't be racist or prejudiced or terrible. It's not necessarily for this. So So that's what they cited. Well, then somebody pointed out that Blizzard is looking to claim China. Like they're getting a lot of revenue from China in Hearthstone and other areas. So they're afraid that China will ban them and they'll lose the 12% of revenue that they get from China. And that's why they banned him, and that's why they don't want to be in the political situation.
Oh, that's with a lot of companies.
Yes.
Not just Blizzard, but it's a whole thing.
It is a whole thing. That actually feeds into that because
you just can't talk about it.
That's correct. That's correct. Man, I can't remember the other game. It's either, I think it's League of Legends, but one of the other games actually, after this all came out, just asked people to only talk about the game in streams. And it was very clear that even though they didn't say don't talk about China, they were meaning don't talk about China. So this kind of snowballed because Blitzchung was like, hey, I was speaking my mind. I knew I'd get backlash, but this is a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
Everybody out there was like, boycott Blizzard. Hearthstone started getting tons of uninstalls. 2 U.S. senators, and I just want to point out one of them Republican, came out in support of Blitzchung against this. The Blizzard employees themselves actually went out and there's a statue outside of Blizzard that has like the mission statement of the company. And they actually covered over the part where it says like freedom of speech and all-inclusive stuff. So then, just to resolve this story, basically Blizzard kind of walked it back a little bit, saying that they're only going to suspend him for 6 months because they still feel like that he violated his whatever the wording, but they are going to give him the money because he didn't actually cheat.
Wait, no, he deserves that money.
I think he deserves the money. I don't think he deserves to be suspended. Blitzchung did accept this and said that he was kind of in the wrong, and I don't think that he should. I don't think that he should. Gamers. Man, I'm having a hard time. I got so much to say, trying to funnel it into an actual sentence.
Okay.
Anybody else who's famous or anybody else who's professional has a platform on which to speak. Copernicus takes a knee, right? Mm-hmm. You've got actors who openly speak out against the things that they don't like. Why is it that professional gamers don't get the same courtesy? They don't get, this is their only soapbox. Why can't they bring awareness to something going on that's bothering them?
Well,
now, maybe he didn't do it exactly the right way, but do you kind of get where I'm coming from on that?
Not really, because, I get it. They have a platform to talk, but even professionals right now that are speaking out against this are getting tons of backlash. Okay. It doesn't matter who you are right now. You're getting that backlash. And even when, him taking a knee during the national anthem, even stuff like that, they do get backlash for it, and they know the risks that they're taking. It is a risk taking that leap. Okay. And I feel like if it didn't get that backlash, it wouldn't have we wouldn't be talking about it right now.
So almost like the backlash is helping it in some way.
Exactly. I feel like the backlash is helping it a little bit because people are like, what? That's crazy. Let's jump on it.
No, you make a good point there, I suppose. I feel like a company taking such drastic measures against somebody who is just who you put him on the air. He won the right to be on the air. Why can't he say what he wants to say for that small period of time?
At the same time, if they're going to lose a ton of money off of it, as a company, they really can't let him do that. I understand where you're coming from on it, but I don't think that they could let him come out and say what he wanted to say and lose a huge portion of their company.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of like I don't know. There's a lot of fear of this whole China thing, and I think
There is.
and I think that's a little ridiculous. First of all, just on a business standpoint, I think Blizzard has this outlook right now at China where it's like, well, we're losing revenue in the States, let's go get it from China, and that's why they're afraid. Why don't you try to fix it on the state side? Or why don't you try and make your games a little bit more, like, why don't do something to bring those players back instead of worrying so much about this other, like, whatever.
Well, China's a huge portion of like the economy in gaming, and especially in like a lot of other places, just politically and everything. I don't think anybody is for what China's doing.
Right.
I don't think I've seen anybody go like, yeah, China's great, keep doing what you're doing. But we have to acknowledge that they are an economic powerhouse.
Okay.
They throw out money to everybody. Like, a lot of what we get in the States comes from China. And so when it goes to like gaming terms, nobody's really for what they're doing, but they're that big bully that nobody else is going to stand up and get their ass beat to.
All right. I won't disagree with that, but still, if you look at the numbers, like, I think it accounts for like 5 to 12% of Blizzard's business. Well, you've just alienated the other 88%.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. It's definitely a tricky situation.
Go with the 88% instead of this unknown quantity of the 12%, especially this 12% that could constantly ban you, that's constantly over your head. And now you've given them the power. You've said, well, as long as it's something that offends you, we won't do it, which means that they're running the show over there. Whereas I would rather...
China really is.
Well, and that's fine, but I would rather my companies... And I don't have anything necessarily against China as a whole. I don't like... I'm not political. I don't want to get into that part of it.
True.
I'm more on the game side of it. And the game side of it to me is I don't want to be for a company that's so easily shaken.
We want big dick boys. We have a big dick company. We're stepping out.
Logan's taking it light. This is too serious. We got to talk about dicks. Got to talk about dicks in there.
Gotta have the comic relief. That's all I'm here for.
I will say I uninstalled Hearthstone off my phone and do not plan to go back to it.
I respect that.
And I don't think that it was the right choice for them to back. I mean, that would be like your team deciding to like go against you over the other team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you picked China, you picked communist China over one of your most dedicated players. That to me is the essence of why I'm bothered by it. Not necessarily China or even the political stuff about it. I wouldn't want them to pick America over one of their most dedicated players. I want them to pick their dedicated players. I want them to be loyal to their players. That's what I want. I want player loyalty, and I don't feel like they did that.
Oh, not at all.
So.
No, I completely agree with what you're saying.
Okay.
And you could definitely go off that. And yeah, I don't think a lot of people are playing Blizzard games at the moment.
No.
Especially with what happened.
I think it's really hurt them. They pulled one of their Overwatch tournaments. They ended up pulling it because it was getting all these boycott Blizzard hashtags, and I don't think what they did to walk it back was enough to get their player base back. And I think that the risk of losing China has cost them so much more on a financial standpoint. Like I feel like we got a little bit too much into the political stuff, and I wanted to stay more to the video game stuff. And I don't necessarily think that they're doing the right thing as far as the business, honestly.
I don't either.
So
like I hear where they're coming from.
Like, yeah, I mean, they're a business. They want to make money. They don't want to alienate 5 to 12% of their audience. I totally get that. But at the same time, if you've got a Sophie's Choice and you're getting 12% from this side and you're getting 88% from this side, which one are you taking?
All I have to say to this, Zach, we don't negotiate with terrorists.
Great. There's no terrorists anywhere part of the story, but okay.
America.
Gotta get it funny again. All right, so that brings us to our last segment. We'll get it back on the fun side here.
A little bit less serious.
We're going back to our horrible lists, and I just want to say up front with the horrible lists, we are not going to be doing normal genres in this because I think that the games broken up into normal genres are outdated. So we're not going to be straight up doing like RPG, shooter, like that. Like we did shooter because I think that's that's still a good one. But like,
yeah, it is.
I think like, how do you classify Red Dead Redemption? You know what I mean? So I think that like we're gonna do like a little bit more. Like I want to do a 3 best games of service. We did 3 best shooters. We're doing 3 best open world games today. Okay, so it's open world games. That's what we're doing today. 3 best. And remember the rules. It has to be a game that you can play on this generation. So backwards compatible from whatever its previous generation was. And then however that works. It's kind of like a recommendation, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, Logan, take it away, number 1.
I'm not cheating this week. It's a first.
Okay, all right. I'm excited now.
With number 3, because I'm starting off with number 3. You can't start off with number 1. You got to build them up.
That's fair. I'm okay with
number
that.
3, we're going GTA 5. It's an amazing game. It's fantastic. You can either abide by the law or you can do whatever you want. It's an open world.
I don't think you can abide by the law on that one. I think
I abided by the law before. Trust me, you can abide by the law.
Not in the story.
It's a lot harder than it is to break the law.
I am going to go ahead and say there's no way you could play that story with.
Oh no, I'm not talking about the story.
Oh, you're talking about GTA Online.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So you're specifically referring to GTA 5 Online.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna underline the online part then. Okay, that's fair. You can abide by the law on that. I'm sure. I have not actually played the online, to be honest.
It's really good.
I got GTA 5 on 360. They didn't have the online up when it first came out, so I played through the whole story, and then didn't want to wait for the online. Traded it in, but Rockstar has this real slow burn on the online. It always starts off shitty and ends up getting good.
It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah.
Anyway, Zach, number 2, we got Saints Row.
Really? Which Saints Row?
The newest one.
I don't know what the number is.
Presidential.
Saints Row. What is it, like 5, I think?
Yeah, I think it's like 5. They made a lot of them. I think they made
I love how
6.
you're not cheating, but you can't even give me the number of the game.
No, because once I say Saints Row, they know the newest Saints Row because it's the only one that's backwards compatible.
Oh, okay.
Actually, wait, no, I think Get Out of Hell is backwards compatible.
Okay.
But that one's way back. But so Saints Row, it's phenomenal. It's the same thing as GTA, just more over the top ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. And I had a blast playing it. It has so many cheat codes that even enhance the game's more funness. If you want to go do something stupid for 3 hours and feel like, yeah, why not? This is the game for you. Then for number 1, I obviously have Skyrim.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't have Skyrim anywhere but number 1, it's phenomenal. Well, what can I say? Unless you want a shooter, then you go somewhere else. But if you don't want a shooter, there's nowhere better to be.
Skyrim is hands down one of the best games ever made. Without
yes.
a doubt. Without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
All right. So I guess that brings it over to me, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay. Open world games. Let's do this. All right. So number 3, I am going to do. Okay. So my number 3. This is gonna kind of surprise some people. Okay.
Okay.
But I love this game, and I love this game for a couple of reasons. And that game is State of Decay 2.
Ooh.
State of Decay 2 is as truest to the open world as it can possibly be, and that is why I love that game. It can be tedious. I'm not going to lie. It can be tedious, and it can be a little bit lax on storytelling if you don't have a big imagination. But that game is just infinitely replayable. Let me just run it down real quick. You basically spawn in with a random 3 group of survivors, unless you've already beaten the game, in which you can use any survivor that has survived other games. Mm-hmm. Those 3 survivors, they're procedurally generated from their stats, to their skills, to their names, to their gender, to their clothes, everything. You then have to find a base. You have to find other survivors. Who are also procedurally generated. You have to then complete quests for people in one of the 3 maps, which are all open world, and you can do it in any order. You can decide who to save, who to help, and then you have to, no matter what it is, you have to blow up these 10 plague hearts, and then depending on who you chose as your leader, you have to do a series of endgame missions to resolve that storyline. That's what I want in a game. It's what I want in a game. I just wish other games would do that and expand. I want a playground. I want the story to be completely and totally unique to myself. And that's what this thing gives me. It gives me it in spades. So that's my number 3. So my number 2, I'm going to go the opposite direction now. Sound very hypocritical. Is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Red Dead 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Red Dead 2 has some problems on the story side. Okay, and I'm not talking about the online. I know the online is getting better. It's not there yet. But on the story side, it's great. There are some control problems. Like, it's very easy when you're trying to say hi to somebody to accidentally shoot them in the face, which can create some problems. But the near breadth of stuff that you can do in that game is crazy. Like, if you can think you can do it in the game, you can do it. And it's brilliantly simulated. And while other people would find the fact that you can't fast travel tedious and annoying, I enjoy it. It makes me feel like I'm in this game. Now, I will say it got a little irritating when I only had 2 hours to play the game while my kid was napping, and an hour of it was taken up horseback riding from point A to B. But still, it's a great simulation. And I'm going to say this, the story is absolutely one of the greatest stories that I have ever played in my gaming life. And I have been gaming for 20 years. And I cried 3 times through this game. This game tells a story. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe it just hits my heart a little harder than other people's, but it tells a story that is just absolutely beautiful. You do not need to play the first one to play it. It's just splendid.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored, but I will say right now, I don't need to be sponsored to tell people that I think that if they don't play this game, they're missing one of the greatest stories in gaming. I've said that before. I think it should have gotten all the game awards. Fuck God of War. I was pissed. But still, this game is amazing. Okay, so my number 1. And guess what, Logan? I'm gonna cheat. How about that?
Oh.
Yeah. The old guy is gonna cheat
this time.
Switching it up. And you know how I'm gonna cheat?
You don't say video games.
I'm gonna tell you how I'm gonna cheat, Logan. There's no way on this earth that I'm gonna let you take Skyrim from me. Skyrim is the greatest fucking open world game that's ever played. I bought it on 2 different systems. The thing is amazing. It's a generation old, and it's just as good forever. So Skyrim
it's just so good.
is number 1 for both of us. And that is the way it's staying, because there's no world in which I don't pick Skyrim as my number one. I don't care that I went second. It's just not happening.
You really can't.
You can't.
You have to pick it.
You can't. People out there, I urge you, go out and get Skyrim. Like, seriously, just go out, get Skyrim. It's, especially now, because you get all the DLC in the Game of the Year edition for... You could probably get it used for cheaper too. It's really great. You're never going to complete the story unless you really want to complete the story. Like, there's that much stuff to do in it. I love that game, and I will love it.
I am level 93 now on that game.
Right.
And I still am. I'm not even like searching secret things to do. I'm just going out and attempting to find things to do, and I'm finding them constantly.
And just let me go ahead and add to it that they have mod support, which, please, other games listening to me, add mod support. All games should have mod support on console and PC. Like, add mod support. Like, what does it bother you? Just allow us to play any way we want. And anybody out there who is not a huge gamer, mod support means that it is community-made content for your game. So, like, extra quests, extra companions, a different way the system works, that sort of thing. It mods the game in some way. Add mod support. It is the best. And Skyrim, anytime I'm bored, I just go into the mods. I load something else up, and then I get to do something completely different, you know? Game.
Exactly.
Unending wealth of content, and will be for years to come. And I'll tell you right now, I'm glad it's going to be backwards compatible with the next system, but if it wasn't, I would buy the motherfucker again.
Oh, yeah. And because it's that good.
And anybody out there who's like, how did Fallout not make either of our lists? Fallout sucks, and I'm sorry. It just does.
Fallout's trash.
I wish it was good, and I've played 2 of them, and like, I enjoy them to a point, and then it's just like something clicks in my head, and I'm like, this isn't good. I don't want to play this anymore. Whereas Skyrim, I always go back to. And I don't even like fantasy stuff. I like post-apocalyptic stuff. I have one friend. I won't name names, but I have one friend who plays Fallout, like, exclusively. Like, he's like Philbilly with Borderlands. He's just... Every time I see him, he's on Fallout. Doesn't matter what's come out, he's on Fallout, and he's like level like 70. And I'm like, how? How are you still playing that game? I don't get it. But that's fine.
Because I feel like with Fallout, you have like some time that you gotta wait for your stuff to build. You gotta get certain things. Like it's more drawn out. With Skyrim, you just got a sword. You just walk out and start wrecking people.
It's true. That's true. Things happen a little bit more instantly in Skyrim. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that brings us to the shameless self-promotion there, buddy. So what do you want to plug today?
My YouTube, Night645. I'm going to be dropping a new PUBG video soon. Go check it out.
All right. As for me, you guys know already, if you're here, Old Man Gaming, check out everything we do. Mondays we do Old Man Gaming review, which next Monday, the Monday after this episode drops, you also get to hear Knight again, because he's helping me out with World War Z. Wednesdays I do, I'm working on our Borderlands playthrough, Borderlands 330 with myself and Philbilly, and then of course every Friday we do this podcast, myself and Logan badly talk about video games and systems of video games that we don't really understand. So check, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I think that's it, guys. As long as you guys keep watching and listening, we'll keep making them.